Welcome to Behind the Point. I'm Pastor Jeff. I'm here with Pastor Josue.
Hello.
We're recording as of Monday. It's President's Day.
Yes, it is.
So happy President's Day to you. I hope a lot of you had the day off. And but we're working hard. We had a creative planning meeting this morning.
We did.
Talking Easter and the series after that. So thinking of President's Day, I just want to encourage, pray for our president, no matter if you like them or not. So whoever's in office, I think it's just a good reminder. Be praying for our leaders. Pray that God would give them wisdom. Pray that God would, for Donald Trump, I think that he would know the Lord. I don't know that he's a believer. And so I'd pray for his salvation and just good judgment on how he leads our country. And so be praying for them. We had a good weekend. Valentine's Day, we got to spend together with our family.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of fun going to Legoland.
We did. Thank you for the invite.
Yeah,
that was a lot of fun.
We had a really good time.
Yeah.
Any highlights?
My kids fell right to sleep.
Oh yeah, right
When
after. And it closed at 7.
It closed
so
at
we left
7.
pretty early. But
yeah, we no, it was fun. We had a really good time. The kids had a blast. As we were leaving, most of the highlights, I think we started to reflect back on it as we were leaving. But we got in the car and Matthew, was it Matthew? Matthew or Noah, one of them said, I really like Josh. They said, I really like Josh. Actually, I think it was Noah. No, it was Matthew. Matthew said, I really like Josh. And then Noah said, yeah, he's really fun. It's kind of what it, just like that. And then not 5 seconds later, Matthew knocked out. He fell asleep. And we were talking about it on the way out, like, oh, our kids will fall asleep. And I had said, I'm pretty sure we're not even going to make it to the freeway and Matthew will be asleep. We hadn't even left the parking lot and Matthew was asleep. He just knocked right out. But they had a really good time with your kids, Josh and Sam.
It was cute seeing our
fun.
kids together. Nice our families hanging out and whatnot.
Noah's such a good little babysitter. Oh, yeah. He just, any little kids, like he'll grab his hand and follow him. But then Matthew was the same way. Like they all had a good time just hanging out and having fun. So
Noah's 10.
Noah is 10. He's about to be 11.
So our little guy, Josh, is going to soon be 5. But he's like pulling Noah around, like, come with me this way. And so it was
They had a really good time, though. We had a lot of fun, too. It was good. So thanks for the invite again.
Yeah, glad to go.
Yeah.
Glad you guys were able
Fun
to come
Valentine's
with us.
Day. Yeah,
it was. Yeah. Do you usually celebrate? Do anything with Stephanie? No.
I think we'll go to dinner.
Yeah,
it's probably about as much as we'll do. But no, we really don't make a big deal of it. Yeah.
We'll usually do like some little gift or like cards and stuff, but we've scaled back over the years. We try to go out, but usually not on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
So
I felt really dumb.
I owe my wife a date.
we weren't supposed to do Valentine's Day gifts, but I still get my wife some things. Anyways, we got her flowers. We took them, me and the kids on Friday, we took them to her office. But I was thinking she likes this shampoo from Ulta, the store Ulta. And I'm like, okay, we got to drive out to Redlands. I did not know that there's one on Riverside Avenue by my house.
Funny.
And we drove all the way to Redlands. And my wife's like, why did you go out to Redlands? And I was like, that's where the store is. And she's like, well, Sway, there's one right next door to Sprouts. I'm like, I didn't know. I'm like, well, I would never look for that store. I didn't even know. So we drove all the way out to Redlands for nothing.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm like, see how much I love you? That's why I did that.
That's an act of love, yeah.
I just gave up my time and gas and everything just for so. But no, it was fun though. But anyways, she was giving me a hard time because I didn't know that the store was there. Would you know where an Ulta is? Do you know where they are?
Oh, I don't. I feel like there's one near us that I would know. I've never been in it, like even with Carrie.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
I have to ask immediately, where is this? Because I'm stressed out. And I get a headache just from the smell in that store. Like, no, thank you. Get me out of here as soon as Matthew's walking around like this.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
all the perfume.
I'm like, I
stuff.
know, dude. Let's go. So it was rough.
Yeah.
But
I'm a really bad shopper, so I rarely will go to store. Most stuff for Carrie I'll buy online.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'll get lost in these stores and not even know where to look for things.
It's hard to understand any rhyme or reason to the store. How is this organized? Forget that. Nobody got time for that.
Yep. Well, I hope that you guys get to go on a good date together, you and Stephanie. So we just started our series. It's a short one called I Can't Afford It. And it's about getting out of a scarcity mindset into an abundance mindset. How do you feel about talking about, I was just thinking, to me, sometimes it's uncomfortable. How do you feel about talking about money at church? Do you ever worry about people, doing a giving series or a stewardship series?
Anytime you talk about money with anybody, it's always a sensitive topic. But I think over the last several years, things have changed. One of my favorite series that we did was Dane, Trevor, and myself. So Pastor Dane, the former pastor, and then Trevor used to be a pastor here on staff. We did a series called "Why Your Giving Matters." So it was all about the why. This one is slightly different, but that one that we did several years ago was probably my favorite one. It was understanding the importance of why we give. But even that one, we got a little bit of pushback on it. Folks thought that it was a sort of an ask for money. And we're like, no, we're just saying thanks for what you do and why it's important, what it is that you do. And so it's always a risk to talk about money. But that's part of the reform idea that we're looking at this year, that we will be able to talk about these things because we're going to have a proper biblical understanding of it. And in this particular series, we're talking about generosity. Yeah. It's not a, hey, give more here. Yeah. The challenge at the end of the service was to go and do something generous for someone that only God is going to know about. I would encourage you guys, if you're watching and haven't done it yet, go out and still do that this week. But I think it's important that we do that. Yes, there's always a risk. Yes, I worry sometimes about like, somebody's going to send an email like, oh, what do you need money for? Like, we're not asking for anything. This is just, if they want to give, I'm not going to stop them. But this is not an ask for money, it's not a fundraiser. It's just we want to understand, just as we love because God loved, we forgiven because in Christ we're forgiven. Well, in the same way that he was generous, we want to be generous. That's really all we're trying to look at.
Jesus talked a lot about money.
Isn't that the number one thing he talks about, if I remember correctly?
Yeah. Money, he talked a lot about money. He talked a lot about hell.
Hell, right.
Even more than some of the verses on love and other things.
Right.
And I think part of it's just money trips us up.
It really does. Yeah.
And so I think it's important to talk about in the church. Obviously, it's not our favorite subject or something we want to talk about every week, but I've gotten more comfortable with it, just understanding the importance of it and the heart. And there's always people will kind of misunderstand. Are they trying to just get more money, or they're going to tell me what to do with my money? No.
Right. No, not at all.
We'll never ask to see pay stubs or income statements. We'll never ask someone to give a specific amount. We challenge really the church as a whole. Just be praying, and at the end of the day, that's between them and God, right? The individuals and God. Yep. So the series is called I Can't Afford It. And you talked about 3 characteristics of Christ-honoring generosity.
I know you didn't like that word.
What's that?
Oh, you didn't like
characteristics.
You wanted it to be something else. I
forget what. I don't even remember what my suggestion was.
Oh gosh, you wanted to stick with movements, I think, right? Because that's what I borrowed from.
There was
from
something
Craver's
about.
book.
We had a debate earlier in the week as he's like, "Here's my points. What do you think?"
I gave you the more generous response, and you. No, that's good.
No. I think for some because of the words. So when you get to your points, avoid virtue signaling, keep it a secret, trust the reward.
Oh, you described them as verbs.
Those are like verbs. Right. So I was like, our verbs characteristics, and we got into like a whole semantics debate.
Know. I'm the wrong person to talk to about that.
And then I almost got fired. No, just kidding. Anyways, so 3 characteristics, and you talked about Pastor Andy Craver. Is that how you say his name?
Correct.
So he wrote a book, and obviously the principles we're talking about are first and foremost from Scripture.
Correct.
But his work also has influenced you, specifically this book called Keep the Change.
Keep the Change.
But you said that he's also been just a meaningful person in your life, a pastor that you followed. Do you want to just speak a little bit more to that?
Sure, yeah.
Some of the things that have stood out, how he's encouraged you?
So I first came across him probably about 10 years ago, and it was on a sermon that he preached with Daniel and his friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and it's the entire story that he preached through that. I don't know what I was probably preaching a series, and I was looking up some information. I happened to come across his sermon. Anyways, I watched the whole thing. He was very engaging, very good speaker, and he likes to tell stories. That's his thing. He does stories, and he does such a good job with them. But honestly, if he's listening, I doubt he would be. But one of the things that he does when he preaches, he does this all the time, like
raises his hand,
stop. He's got just like in agreement, like right, this kind of thing. And for whatever reason, it caught my eye. Like I'm like, dang, this dude does this quite a bit, or he'll do this. like
listen,
like
he's
that
pointing.
kind of thing. Yeah, he does that a bit. Anyways, so I went to their website just to listen, and little by little, I just found all of his sermons really engaging. So I was watching them every single Sunday, and then throughout the week they would post stuff and I would watch them. And so for years I have just been watching his sermons. It was kind of my way of
receiving
instead of having to plan it all the time. This was my way of connecting and just feeling like I'd been ministered to, and it was very encouraging for me. And then anyways, he never knew any of this, obviously. He'd never known. But when I finally was voted in for the position here of lead pastor at Centerpoint, it's something in me. I just remember telling my wife, I feel like I need to email him and tell him like he played a major role in this.
Yeah, all the sermons you've preached were directly from him.
No, not all. No, but they were. It was just I felt like he was an important part of building me up in that capacity.
He was pastoring you.
Yeah, as was Dane, and as were so many of these other people. But I felt like he was a major role in that. So I emailed him. I'm like, hey, you don't know me at all. Like I'm from California, and I kind of told him like I'd been watching for years and I said, just thank you for being faithful in your ministry. Like you didn't know it, but you were mentoring me all these years. And I just wanted to say thank you as I head into this new position at Centerpoint. I think like an hour and a half later, I get a call from him. Oh my gosh, let me tell you, I was like starstruck.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, hello? Like what? And he's like, Pastor Osway? I'm like, yes. And he's like, this is Andy Craver. And I'm like, oh my
really
goodness.
neat.
But it was really cool. And he's just, ever since then, he'll shoot me a text every now and then. Hey, just thinking about you. I think today was your installation service, right? I'm praying for you.
Oh, that's neat.
And every now and then he would just randomly send a kind of touch base text message. And it was very encouraging. Yeah. And we reached out to him. I reached out to him because they're out of North Carolina. So a couple years ago, I think it was 23, right around there, maybe 24. Hurricane Helene hit on the East Coast. So I text him and I said, I know it's hitting Florida the worst, but are you guys okay? And he mentions it in the book, how they got hit by that storm. They were completely cut off for like a week and a half, maybe, with no water, no power, nothing. Yeah. And he mentions how God was faithful to them through all of that, and how he still provided, and how they were able to minister to their community, and just really cool. I'm like, hey, I remember texting him during that, and anyways, he's just been a great influence to me. And when this book came out, I called him and I'm like, I love this book. It's absolutely fantastic. And
you just talked to him like a week or two ago, or a couple weeks ago, or something, right?
Probably about a month ago.
Oh, it was a month already.
Yeah. Okay. It was right when the book came out. Yeah, because
you
we asked all these questions on finances, and he's like, just the number one thing you need to know is this did not happen overnight. This has been years and years of prayer and working on this, and God has been kind of reshaping how we view even finances, and to the point where they have become a resource in their community. Like, hey, have we checked in with Upward? Like, can they help? And it's been absolutely incredible. So
that's awesome.
Sorry, that's a long
answer.
No,
that's
to
okay.
Your question.
Was there a kind of a key aspect of this book, Keep the Change, that really impressed you or stood out in a new way?
Yes. So the number one thing was the whole point of the book is not a money grab. It's not like an ask for money. It is the subheading in the book is transforming your community through generosity. I think through radical generosity, if I'm not mistaken. But that's what it's called. Keep the change, transforming your community. So really, it's to be the hands and feet of Jesus through our generosity. That's how we do that. Right. And that's the thing that impacted me the most. One of the chapters, or maybe a subsection in the book, says something about when the government can't move fast enough. Like, how do we step in and help? And that's where he said, it's one of the most incredible thoughts to me, that they have become a resource in their community, that people will say, let's go check with the church. Maybe they can help. What an incredible honor, I think. And if that ever happened for us here, that the city would reach out to us, could you guys help with this? I cannot imagine a greater privilege and honor than to be known and recognized by the city for being the hands and feet of Jesus. I could not picture a better win for us
that's
than
awesome.
to say that, hey, you want to experience help with something? Like, can we help with something? Yeah. Absolutely.
I think we're moving in that direction. I think the city asked us to go back to Hermosa Cemetery.
Yep.
Part of our men's group had been there serving.
Yep.
You might remember, what was that? Last year?
I think that was
maybe last
year.
spring or something. I forget exactly when.
Because they did it during the summer or something.
Oh, yeah.
It was really hot.
But some of our men from the church went and were raising the headstones that had begun to sink at the cemetery.
Well, and
and
even
so
our-
the
sorry, go
city
ahead.
asked
Yep.
us if we could send another group
Right.
again.
Yeah.
And so,
even our summer of service that we did in 23, that was all to help other people, not us. Like that was the whole point of service, to go out and do that. And we want to include the element of generosity as well, to be able to help to that capacity. So we did that recently with the comforters. And again, this is not a way of bragging. It's not an element to brag, but it's saying this is what generosity looks like.
Yeah. And we want to get
to be
more
excited.
to that.
To be excited to just help, to see the need and say, we can help. We
Yeah.
want to help.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, let's dive in and look at the points. So your first one was, so again, 3 characteristics of generosity. The first one was avoid virtue signaling.
Yep.
And you talked about how we shouldn't give the motivation to be seen by others. And I understand it's a hard issue, right? As far as our motivation shouldn't be, let me get the spotlight, let me get the attention. We never want to show off our righteousness to impress others or for our own glory. Can I ask a clarifying question?
Yeah.
For you? Okay, so kind of follow
On virtue signaling?
on this principle. So avoiding virtue signaling. Okay. So we don't want to do things for the point of the spotlight. But follow my logic for just a minute.
Okay.
It's kind of a trick question, but I think you'll be able to parse it out. Okay.
Okay.
So I think we're called to be a light for Christ, right? To shine as Christians, to reflect Christ, and that's drawing attention to him ultimately.
Yes.
Matthew 5:14-16, Jesus says, you are the light of the world, talking to the church. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. So my question, and I don't mean this to be a trick question, just more of a, how can you help us in this? Are we to be a light for others when it comes to generosity? Like in our example of generosity, is that, do we do so to point people to Christ? Are we a light in that regard? And if so, how do we do it? Yeah.
Gotcha.
So how do we shine so that Jesus is illuminated and not us in being generous?
I don't think there's anything wrong if someone asks to share with them. I would think a lot of that has to do with the example you set for your kids. The reason why I give faithfully, and I don't say this at all as a brag, but the reason I give faithfully my tithe is because of what I saw my parents do. So it was modeled for me.
Right.
It was spoken of in church. Again, speaking on the importance of the why behind that. And that can happen, I think, if people ask us. I remember going to my dad saying, I got this money that I was not expecting to receive. Am I supposed to give a tithe on it? And he says, any money it's always good to give back to the Lord. And my dad he would always go overboard with that. He's like, it's better to just err on the side of caution, not as the Lord's going to smite me, but if you're questioning it, you've probably taken it to a legalistic point where you're, and that can also be a negative, because for some people, it's very important that they give exactly 10%, $10.50, right? So exactly whatever it might be. But for some people, they're like, they see the 10% as the roof, like the ceiling. I cannot go above this. But for some people, that 10% is like, hey, I made it. I was able to give 10%. So wherever you're at on that, I would just encourage them to search their hearts on that. But I think if someone were to ask, hey, how should I be handling this? I think it's fair to say, hey, that's a great question. Let's consider being generous with this, having that cheerful heart, knowing that it is more blessed to give than to receive, and it's going to be given to you. It's always better to have that. I don't see anything wrong should someone ask.
Yeah.
But I don't think we need to go up to people and say, hey, you didn't give. I think that's where it becomes problematic. That's where we can walk that line of legalism or faithfulness, whichever element that goes. So I think 100% we can shine for the Lord through our generosity by means of testimonies.
Yeah.
Hey, would you be willing to share that? And Pastor Anthony even mentions that in the book. He addresses the tension of, we want to a certain extent keep it secret, He goes, and I wrestled with the thought of sharing these stories.
Right.
But there's a reason
Right.
why he says this book is written for pastors.
Yeah.
It's not written for the average layperson in the church.
And he doesn't do it in an intention to show off. It's
Right.
just, how can I encourage?
Correct, exactly.
Yeah.
It's meant to be an encouragement and a
Spur
support
on
to say,
kind
hey,
of thing.
look what I've seen the Lord do. And again, to the part of what I talked about yesterday, he's making God look good in all of this. This is not at all a reflection on them, that they're the ones who have succeeded and gotten it right and done everything. He is trying to give God the glory in all of that. And he does, I think, in a very successful way through the book. So yes, we can be a light through generosity, but I think that happens best when it's through testimonies, through examples that have been set, to sharing those stories, not a, hey, let me show you how generous I was. That's a very different thing.
Yeah. That's
Am I
good.
addressing
No,
your
that's
question?
good.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. You mentioned in that point that it's not about the amount or the size of the gift, right? It's not like I gave $1 million, right? But it's about the size of the sacrifice. Yes. Do you have an example of that? Like, can you think of any stories or?
Well, I think the obvious one is the widow's mite. There's a biblical. Are you looking for a biblical example or like
or
a
in your own
one?
life? But the biblical example's good.
Yeah.
Can you just share that briefly? That parable?
Yeah.
Or
So
that story?
Jesus is sitting there with his disciples, and he sees these rich men come, and he says they gave out of their abundance, right? These guys gave, and a lot of the historical context says that they were these metal chambers that would kind of collect their offering, so it would rattle and be loud and clink, 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 like all this stuff that goes in there. And these guys are almost showing off because they threw in. I believe the language even implies that it's kind of thrown in, not that they were placed in.
Okay.
But it's kind of like thrown in
To make a scene.
to make a
almost, too.
scene of, look at how big of an offering I'm giving. And then suddenly we see this poor widow show up, and it says she gives 2 cents, like these 2 pennies that she gives. And Jesus explains to them that her offering was greater because she gave all that she had. And we talked about this a little bit on Saturday. There's differences, people can disagree on that. Does that mean that she gave sacrificially, or literally that she gave everything? Like, she gave
that literally her last pennies to
her
live
last
on?
2 pennies, or is it that she gave more because she was trying to give a sacrifice? Whereas these rich folks, they gave, and to their credit, they gave. But the point Jesus makes is that even hypocrites can give, obviously. And not to say that people who give generously are hypocritical. That's not the point behind that. But again, it's the sacrifice. Did it cost you something to give? You go back to the illustration in the Old Testament, I think it's 2 Samuel, where David gives a sacrifice to the Lord, and the guy wants to give him everything for the sacrifice. David says, I can't accept that. I can't give to the Lord something that didn't cost me anything. And that's very important. That's an important understanding, to just back to that illustration. Personally, I don't know, like, I have given sacrificially. I don't know that I have any real impactful stories, at least that I can think of right off the top of my head.
I'll share one, I guess, or a couple. I think about, like, my church my old church used to go to Mexico and build houses there. I got to go a couple times with them. And the families we were building homes for. There was one time a family cooked a meal for all of the workers.
Oh, wow.
But it's like they're living in pretty severe poverty. That cost them a lot. But they wanted to bless, and so they wanted to. That was a sacrifice for them to be able to do that. I was just reading or listening to something. It may have even been on a podcast, but someone sharing about kind of similar on the missions field. They would go to houses, and the first thing these families would do when, like, a American missionary or someone would come and visit is they'd run out of the house and go buy a Coca-Cola.
Oh, yeah.
And that would be expensive. Like, their family wasn't drinking that. But they wanted to, like, here's, like, the best thing we could offer to this person that's here. And so we're not going to drink this. Like, we're just going to live on water and stuff. But I want to treat them. Like, here's a special treat. But I kind of just think about that as kind of similar to the widow's mite. It's like they're sacrificing so they could bless someone else or ultimately bless the Lord.
Right. Yeah.
So let's get to the next point here. So your next one is the characteristic of generosity is keep it a secret. And when I wrote down this, when we were writing down this point, Carrie, my wife, leaned next to me and she said, I wanted to see if you could get where this quote's from. I bet you will. She said,
So it's
keep
like the
it-
movie game?
Yeah.
Okay.
She said, keep it secret, keep it safe. Do you know what that's
Keep
from?
it secret. Keep it Gandalf.
Yeah.
Gandalf. Keep it secret.
Yeah,
keep
so-
it safe. Who is he talking to?
So it's
Frodo.
Lord of
when
the
he gives him the
Rings.
ring. Keep it secret. Keep it safe.
Yeah.
And he goes and stuffs it in a cupboard or something, right? Gandalf.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings. That's
Yeah.
it. Right.
But yeah, Gandalf, the wizard, says to Frodo.
Keep it secret. Is it hidden? No. Is it?
Yeah,
it,
but that's the line. He may say that too, but he says, keep it secret,
Oh,
keep
okay.
it safe.
All right. Is that when he gives it to him or when he comes looking for it?
I feel like it's the beginning of the movie,
Okay.
but I can't remember.
Yeah, you might be right.
Yeah. But good job. I thought you would
thank
get that one.
Yeah, I love
we
those
both like
movies.
Lord of the
Yeah.
Rings, so in our families. So keep it a secret was the main point.
Damien says we're nerds.
Yeah, we are nerds.
I love it too.
Mostly my wife. I mean, she's the one that leaned over and remembered the quote. Not only did Jesus though teach us to avoid public congratulation, that was kind of your first point, but in this second point, keeping it a secret, is he was also teaching us to avoid self-congratulations. So it's keep it a secret from ourselves. Don't let your left hand know what the right's doing, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Right? Is it bad? Here's my question: is it bad to feel good after giving someone a gift or doing something generous?
No. I don't think
Like
so.
it feels good, like I got to help someone, or
Yeah.
I'm pleased I got to give a good gift to the
Yeah.
church.
No, I don't think so. Is that what it
No,
sounded like I was saying?
I don't think
Oh,
so, but I
okay.
could see people maybe going down that road.
No, I think it's okay to feel good that we gave generously
yeah,
back.
and
I
that
think
lines up with the Jesus, and I mean,
it's a
throughout
cheerful
Scripture,
giver.
Yeah, be a
That's-
cheerful
yeah.
giver.
That's totally the difference. I'm sorry if it came across that way, but
I don't think it did.
The point is that we say we consider ourselves like I want to be careful with how I word this. That we consider ourselves of some kind of irreplaceable value,
Okay, yeah,
right? Like you need me to
yes,
do this.
okay,
That's where
yeah.
we get to that point. But what was the quote that the lady said at the conference? Graveyards are full of people who were once irreplaceable.
yeah.
Like that's
Yeah,
the point.
that
Like
was a really good line.
listen, we're all going to be gone at some point. All of our money is going to be gone at some point. So why not use it for the glory of God? And who cares about the credit on this side of heaven? That's not important. It's okay to say like, man, I am so thankful that the Lord has blessed us that we can do this. That's okay. That's totally okay. But if you say, hey, that building stands because I paid for it, that's where it
Yes.
becomes problematic, right? That's the self-congratulation. Like that's where I think it becomes problematic.
That's a good distinction. I like how Pastor Anthony described a Christ-honoring generosity, and he said that it's like breathing. It's breathing, necessary, not breeding.
Breathing
Yeah,
air.
having an offspring. No. Breathing, breathing necessary for life. Breathing necessary for life, but not requiring constant awareness or congratulations. Recover, Jeff. How do we get to the point that our generosity becomes instinctive? Instinctive and natural.
What?
How do we get to the point where our generosity is just something natural? We don't think about it like breathing. We just breathe.
I think that comes with practice.
Yeah.
I think it will happen. At first, it's going to be a discipline, something you need to learn to do. And I know that goes against what Pastor Anthony is saying there about being instinctive and like breathing, because you don't have to learn to breathe. You just do it. But the point is, if we want it to be that way, we have to develop the discipline where we say, this is important. Like it's off the top, the first fruit. It's just something that we do the moment we develop this heart of generosity. We're going to say, hey, if I've got something and I can help, it's immediately you're going to step up and say, I can help. I can do that. You've in financial terms, you have budgeted generosity. You have set aside an amount of resources, whether it be your time, your energy, your money, whatever that is. You plan to want to help.
Yeah.
And you help it. And that again, that comes with discipline. It comes with practice. It comes with discernment. And I think once we get to that point, we're going to realize, hey, I'm ready to help at any point in time. And it starts small. This does, again, just like Pastor Anthony said, it doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
That it requires a level of trust, a level of faith, a level of patience and discernment. And you get there before you realize it. You're like, wow, like, look at how quickly you just stepped right up and offered to help. So I think it does get there, but it comes with discipline.
Yeah. We talked to a friend last night. I won't share his name or details because it might have been a private story, but someone, a friend of ours was sharing about how God basically sent someone to help him in a situation where a lot of people weren't helping him. And then, you know, he was just, he said once he got the help, he just praised God and was, okay, who could I help next? And then the very next day, an opportunity was presented.
Yeah. I love how he said that it was almost the exact scenario he was in, but in reverse. And he was like, wow, this is exactly what happened to me last night. And it's like the Lord just, here, you want to help somebody?
What did he say? He got in his car. He's just like, that's awesome, God, or something like that. But
that's cool.
Yeah. Look for those opportunities. There's always ways that we can help and areas to be generous. Correct. Your final point was that the third characteristic of generosity was trust the reward. And I like how you said, you broke down the verse and you said two things. Number one, God sees. He sees everything that we're doing and going through. And then number two, he will reward you. How does God reward us? And when do the rewards come?
There's a couple of ways. There's a couple of ways to interpret that text. And scholars are divided on it, as I'm sure you've read this before. Some would argue that the reward is the joy that we feel in seeing the need met. Some have argued that there could actually be a heavenly reward. I kind of land, not to walk the line too tightly here, but I kind of land somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
I think there is joy in seeing a need met, but I do think that the greater reward is the heavenly reward of God.
Right.
I think that's ultimately what it is. And I think that addresses the tension of, well, should I be giving if I'm still doing it to get something? Well, I think the point is that you experience God. You get that deeper level of relationship with God. You experience the joy of the Lord. You experience that excitement and that cheerful heart within you. So there's different ways of interpreting the text. Some literally believe it'll be a reward here. Some believe it's a reward in heaven.
I would guess I would maybe add, I agree with you. I think it's probably a combination of those things. And maybe sometimes, maybe even a third element of sometimes God does come back and bless us in tangible ways.
Absolutely.
Where he gives us an abundance, or maybe because we've been faithful with a little, he trusts us to be faithful with a lot.
Correct.
I don't know that I would say the third one's a guarantee, nor is that first one of having just we may not see. And you asked that question, would we still give if we don't remember, if the memory of giving,
you reworded that question for me,
I gave you that one.
Which it worked out much better. I don't even remember what the original question was. Would we give if we didn't get credit for it or something like that? I think is what the
I think it was something
question
like
was.
that, but I thought it kind of went with the first point more. But in this one, you said, would we still give if we didn't have the memory of it?
Much better way of articulating the question,
So, but I think it's often a combination of different things. And then, therefore, the timeline is a combination too. The ultimate reward that we'll receive is going to be in heaven.
Correct.
But here in the now, sometimes there's a benefit for us.
I agree.
Okay, so just I wanted to ask a few questions. Since we're on the topic of giving, I know we both get these on occasion. And so I thought this would be a good opportunity to talk about these things. Related to giving to the church. Is it wrong? Oh, sorry. First, let me ask this one. Does giving to the church by name, and by that I mean we put our name on the giving envelope, or we pay online with the credit card we give, where our name is traced, is giving to the church by name voiding our heavenly reward? Should we give anonymously? Because some people worry about that. Like, do I need to give without any credit whatsoever? Like, should I give in secrecy?
No, I don't think it voids your reward in heaven. I don't think that right off the bat. I think there is such a thing as faithful commitment to a church where you're bought in and you want to support that ministry. You want to support that local church. And, there is no denying there's a practical element to it on just the tax element of that as Christians, that we have that there's that tax write-off element to it. There's a practical side to that as well. That's not the primary reason we give, obviously, but I don't by even a long shot think that there's any way of voiding our reward in heaven by giving with our name, right? I don't think there's anything with that. What was the second part of the question?
Should we give anonymously?
Oh, if you want to, if that makes you feel better, you go right ahead. That's okay.
If it's your conviction.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't. I would have to verify with Susie, but I don't know that there is a way for you to give anonymously here at Centerpoint unless you gave online, correct? Unless you gave through the envelopes and just put it in an, or if you just literally
used
drop.
to be with our old payment system, I guess, but the push pay or whatever we use.
But even if that's the case, there's one person on our staff who sees the names, and that's Susie. She's the only one who knows that. And if you're like, well, I don't want the tax statement, then don't do anything with it. Just throw it away. It'll be emailed to you. You can always delete it and ignore it. There's one person, and the odds that she knows you by name are pretty slim, So, I wouldn't worry too much about that. But if you want to give anonymously, you can do that through the giving boxes.
Yeah. Now, you opted as a pastor to not know what people give.
Correct.
Or how much people give.
Yeah, I do not do anything with the money.
There's different thoughts. Like in seminary, I remember taking a class and the professor had differing opinions on it. Some feel like pastors should know and that have some benefit. With you, I don't really want to know. I don't want anything to taint how I see people or that to, get in the way of anything. Why have you chosen not to?
I have multiple reasons for it. There's a very practical side that just for the sake of full transparency, which is ironic that's why I do it, for the sake of full transparency. I don't want anyone to think that I am befriending them, praying for them, concerned about them because they are a quote unquote big giver.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know a single amount of any one person who gives except for what my wife and I give. That's all I see. Now, what I am made aware of it is if there is a large offering given by someone that is not in the norm, that's the only thing I'm made aware of. But even then, I do not know the amount. So I want to recognize that, and I want to say thank you and assure them that it will go to ministry-related work, impacting the kingdom. So I send a thank you letter. That's usually what ends up happening. But I'm never told the dollar amount. So for the sake of transparency, that I don't want anyone to think that I know how much they give, and that's why I'm friends or why we communicate or anything along those lines. Another reason for that is because it protects the integrity of the person. It's a lot of people, as we talked about, what we started with, is money is a sensitive topic, and some people are very, very particular about that. And I don't want anyone to question that, to feel bad because of what they give. So I don't know any of that. I don't want there to be any concern that I am handling or mishandling money. So I have nothing to do with that at all. Probably a variety of other reasons. Those are just a few that just to name right off the top. That I don't want that to look at all like there's any kind of mishandling, like the pastors. There's been enough church scandal in this world without more people getting involved, and I'm like, nope. I will leave that in the hands of better qualified people, and my role is to pastor, not to sit there. And I have known pastors who see people in their congregation and they know they don't tithe, and they'll go and, hey, knocking at your door, you didn't give your tithe this month. Like, that to me is just wild. For whatever reason, I don't know why they do that. I'm just going to leave that between you and the Lord. But you'll never see me do anything even remotely close to that. So.
I think I like the balance of, you said you'll write a letter thanking some who have given generously or given a large amount.
When the only person who sees that is they see that there's and PushPay does this for us as well.
Right.
It
you
says,
just see a bump or something.
Yeah, they'll say this is a giving that is outside of the norm. You may want to recognize it. Okay. And that's what nice. I do. I send a letter.
And that's kind of cool because in the Bible, it talks among the spiritual gifts.
Giving.
Some is giving.
Correct.
So with prophecy and gifts of healing and gifts of preaching and teaching and these different things. So it's nice. That's kind of the hard thing. It's like someone's exercising their gift in the church that's really not seen by many or known by many. But it's so I think that's kind of a nice balance of being able to still recognize, like from a pastor, that we appreciate you using those gifts God's given you.
Absolutely. Yep.
A couple more here. Is it? So you said people could throw out their giving statements if they want. Is it wrong? I mean, what's your personal conviction? Is it wrong to use our giving statements for tax purposes?
No, I don't think so. I think it's more accountability.
Yeah.
It's more specifically for the government.
Yeah.
Like I know how the government spends their money. At least I've seen some of the way they do that. And if I can have one shred of influence in that, if I can have one shred of I guess control to a certain element. Like, hey, if I can, I want to make sure that more money goes to the church. Than it does here.
That's exactly.
Like that's
to me. I feel like that. I would rather steward my own money than give it unneedingly to the government. Give to Caesar what is Caesar's, Jesus says. So pay your taxes, be ethical, do what's right and what's expected of you. But money that you can keep in your control to give to other things, I think that's better stewardship. Personally.
Yep.
Another one. Should we tithe? Someone asked me this recently. Should we tithe on our tax return? So, we've given a percentage to the church, and then we do our taxes and we get money back. Are we supposed to tithe on that? Your dad would say yes.
Yes, absolutely. But that's exactly what I was going to say. It's money you didn't have. It's money you didn't have that just came back to you. Yeah, why not? I do. I don't see any problem with it. I don't think anybody's sinning if they don't.
Yeah, good. A couple more questions. Is giving?
That's good. Yeah. By the way, did you hear that I apparently said instead of financial peace at the noon service yesterday, I said financial police? I was so
That's our
embarrassed.
New ministry. We're coming after people.
I think it was Fluffy who come up and told me that. He's like, how do I sign up to be on the financial police? I'm like, what are you talking about? And then there was another couple there. They're like, yeah, you said financial police. I'm like, oh.
Damien, is that a branch of the safety team? Security? Yeah.
I was so embarrassed.
I sang a wrong lyric.
You did.
Did you hear me in that one?
Great is you, Lord?
Yeah. My line was, great are you, Lord? And I know proper grammar most of the time.
Kind of.
But I think I was like, in my mind, I thought it was going to say, is the Lord? And it was supposed to be, are you, Lord? And so I said, is you, Lord?
Was this the first time you sang it or the fourth time?
It was the fourth time, too. I sang it 3 times before that in the morning.
Oh, that's awesome.
But it was kind of funny.
Yeah.
I just looked over. Valerie's like, yeah, we saw you laughing after that.
Oh, my goodness. That's funny.
Almost stopped the song. Okay, so is giving to other charities or to people directly the same as giving to the church? So I think sometimes there's a little question on, okay, say that I have a conviction of a tithe, like I take it's 10%, a tenth. What if I feel called to give a portion of that, say 8% to the church, and then I'm giving 2% to a Christian charity or a Christian radio station, or I'm helping the homeless directly or giving to these different things? Is there a distinction, you think, in the Bible or just some guidance on that?
This may not be the popular opinion, but I think yes, there is. Because what we see throughout Scripture, the multiple times that we hear of Paul collecting an offering or taking money from one location to another church, the idea is the church is supported by the body of believers. And it's important that, and this is why through membership we teach about tithing, because that's the whole point of a tithe, is to support this infrastructure within the people. You think of the Levites, they didn't receive any money because they were supported by the financial investment of all the rest of the tribes in the Old Testament. They gave to support this structure that was the sustaining of the tabernacle and the temple. Yep. So it was there. So I think, yes, as a church, we have a responsibility to support the church. I would not go as far as to say legalistically it has to be 10%. I do believe that is an old covenant law, but I think it is still brought into the new covenant.
There's a principle, or at least
correct, the principle of generosity. Right. That's where it comes down to. So can you give to the church and to another nonprofit? You totally can. That's called generosity. Yeah. But I think it's still important that we understand that the church cannot function. Dane would always joke around saying, "Listen, we don't get money from the Vatican, right? We don't have that kind of structure in place.
We don't have a denomination where we get from.
None of that work. We function solely off the generosity of our people, off the obedience of the people who say they want to support this and continue this ministry.
Yeah.
People say, "Well, I want to give towards missions." Well, the church is a mission.
Yeah.
The church does that, and we work to make sure. That's why we have the transparency that we do to give money to our missionary partners, to all these other groups that we work with within the city, outside of the city, outside of the country. We do that, and that's where a big part of that goes. So I don't think there's anything wrong with giving outside of that.
Yeah.
But I think there is a biblical principle that says the church is supported and should be supported by its members.
Good. Is there justification? This is kind of a controversial one. I'm making up on the spot.
Okay.
Is there justification to give less financially if I am like serving or working in other capacities? So let's just say like I'm let's say I'm a handyman or something. But I'm going to give my time to working in that capacity in the church. I'm going to fix something up, and not even like covering cost of materials, but the labor that I'm doing. Like I'm a skilled laborer. Is that since I'm doing this thing that I otherwise would be paid for like a lot elsewhere, does that mean I can give less or I should give less financially? Is that between you and the Lord?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I would probably, I hear my dad in my voice, err on the side of caution. I always want to give back to the church. I think that's the best thing to do. But if I was contracted to do some work, like to me, it's a slippery slope. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
Because when I did worship for a while, and I wasn't even married. I think my wife and I were barely dating. I led worship at the church that my dad is pastor at, and I remember thinking, well, I think this serves as my tithe. And what I found myself doing was that means that I don't have to trust God with my money now, because I'm trusting him with this amount of time. I was there all week for rehearsals, getting music ready, doing all kinds of stuff, and I do, but that means that I gave God my time. It means, but on the reverse, it also meant I was not giving God my money. And I think there's an argument that could be made there that says, because I did not trust him with my money, I trusted him with my time.
At least that was your personal.
That was my conviction.
You're not
that's
going to
correct.
tell someone
that
else
was my
how to
conviction.
do it,
so that's why I say I don't know how that lands with everybody else, but for me, this is why it turned into a slippery slope.
Yeah.
I was saying I'm trusting God with this element, but not this part.
Yeah.
Like, God, you can have my time, but don't touch my money.
I would
That's
just say
what it felt like. For
I would
me.
just say pray on that and be generous with all of it.
Yeah. I think a lot of it
and
comes
without
down to
becoming
the
again
conviction.
legalistic. You need to are you giving exactly 10% or this or that? Like that's between you and the Lord.
Right.
I think we kind of our conviction, both you and me, is probably like as we're able, the 10% is almost a guiding like starting point
Correct.
for. So I take a literal tithe, not like super down to the penny, but a rough estimate, and then beyond that, I consider an offering.
Correct.
And so it's like that's my starting point, that it's non-negotiable.
Correct.
And this is not to say that others have to do that are in incredible debt or other things. Like pray on that, get some guidance on it. Go to FPU, Financial Peace University, and but that's kind of been my conviction. But we'll
Money
never
is
tell
just
someone what they
such
have to
a
do.
tricky thing.
Yeah.
I don't think, and let me kind of answer the question that has been asked. Are we putting into how am I trying to say this? Are we jeopardizing our salvation because we've not given?
Oh no,
no, not at all. I think these are just good Christian principles that we should follow.
Yeah.
And it's simply a demonstration of trust. The way I handle my money, I'll make this very personal. It is my way of demonstrating the level of trust I have in the Lord, that everything runs, including my finances, are in the hands of God. I think that's the easiest way for me to view this. And what that does is it covers, do I need to give a tithe? Do I need to be a cheerful giver? Which one is it? if all of it is in God's hands, then it's all covered. I think that's the easier way for me to approach that, to know that I want to live a generous life and helping someone, that I want to be generous. And there are areas I could be much more generous in, to be entirely transparent, because there are some parts that I'm like up to here and no more kind of thing, right? And but I want to develop the ability to break that greed, if I can just call it what it is. There are ways that I want to, and I'm working on them. On them. They're not always easy. So, so don't feel bad if it's a hard thing to do. I mean, our world rises and falls on all of this, on money, and it's hard to just, sure, here you go, I'll trust it all with God. It's hard to do that. I get that. I'm not denying that one bit. Trust takes a good amount of faith.
Yep. So. Well, you've been generous to me. Thank you for lunch. You bought lunch for my family.
Well, you took us, though, of course. It's the least I could do.
Last question here. Any tips about teaching kids to be generous? Like for a parent guiding their kids, or maybe even aunts and uncles or others, just kind of encouraging young ones to start.
This is going to be a very ridiculous example. It's true, and it worked.
Okay.
So my son plays Fortnite, and there's a store in the game. There's like you can upgrade your things, and if he does well, like at school, if his things are going well, like we'll give him money for that so that he can buy his stuff. But one time he spent it all in one foul swoop, and he's like, "But I need more." Sorry, dude, you just wasted all of that. Like you need to be more savvy with how you're going to spend some of that, and it's. So one time he asked like for more or whatnot, and my wife will give him sometimes. She'll give him money so that he can, purchase the V-Bucks or whatever they're called on there. And so that's how we've used that as a tool. But we've also told him at times, like every time we go to the store does not mean you're going to get something, because you have to use some discipline, some discernment, like save your money up. They all have a little savings account. Our kids do, and my wife has got money stored in a very secret location. I'm not going to tell anybody right now, but she's got money stored away for the kids as well, and they know of it, but they don't ever ask like to spend that. They just want to spend our money, of course. But I think those are easy tools and tricks. The game works well for him because it's real,
relatable.
It's tangible for him. He understands it. Like if I just blow it all on this one thing, I'm going to mess it up. So why not use a little here, use a little there, or save it all up and do this? And those are easy ways that are practical and understandable for kids to get. If you sit there and try and teach them, Dane had a really good example where he taught Landon about taxes. Do you remember that? Remember he shared that story? That Landon said, "Dad, can you buy me this? I have the money at home, but I just forgot it." And Dane says, he was a little kid still, and Dane says, "Okay, like if you have the money at home, I'll pay for it now, and you pay me back when we get home." When they get to the house, he said that Landon was like, "Oh, sorry, Dad, I don't have the money." And so Dane's like, "All right, Landon." And he took it and he goes, "When you earn the money back, I'll give it to you." And he goes, "I'm about to teach you about taxes." And so he took it, he took the toy away. But it was that like Dane had, and he's a master of illustrations. So he was able to make that work. But I mean, I'm not sitting there talking to them about tax returns and stuff. They'll never understand that right now. So
no, that's good. Meet them where they're at. Right?
Practical examples. Yeah. So
all right. Any final words for this week?
I would just encourage our people to still be generous. Find a way to be generous this week. Don't forget to do that. Very, very important. Again, we're trying to reform our way of thinking of generosity.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you all for watching and or listening. Hope that you have a great week, and we look forward to seeing you at our services. God bless.
Bye, guys.